We finally reached the third and final entry of the short series of investigative storytelling featuring Frog Detective, this time with the corruption at Cowboy County. Similar to the previous two games, this entry expanded slightly, clocking in at around 2 hours for a standard playthrough and a few more if you're aiming for a 100% completion, which isn't too difficult. Getting straight to the point once again, the trilogy does feel like it should have been released as a bundled physical copy, not as separate entries all priced the same. Whether the games offer 30 minutes or 2 hours of gameplay, altogether you're spending about $10 for roughly 2 to 3 hours of total content, all of which is very handholdy. How you feel about that depends on what you value. So are you looking for mechanics, the challenge, the minigames, or are you just happy to explore a new world wherever you go? More specifically, one that is very cute and genuinely capable of making you smile. For me, it really comes down to the latter. Sure, you could question the value in terms of time investment versus gameplay, and realistically, you're not getting a ton of content for the price, but when it comes to enjoyment, that's completely subjective. Personally, I enjoy things that lean more into a lighthearted or cartoonish vibe. Like, you're not going to catch me watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine or The Office, but I'll absolutely dive into Recess, The Weekenders, or any occasional cartoon that technically is focused towards kids. I just never really grew into the so-called age-appropriate media as I grew older, and I'm fine with that. Being the third entry in the Frog Detective series is tough to pin down. Compared to the first two games, I found their shorter lengths much more fitting. They had a clear beginning, middle, and end that suited the short but simple storytelling. With the corruption at Cowboy County, it felt like the game was trying to do so much, but not always in the right ways. The plot twists were very predictable, and while the expanded map and scooter were fun additions, the larger scale made the world feel much more spread out and less personalized. I didn't feel the same attachments with the characters this time around. The silly dances, the little waves, the big smiles, while they were all still there in the background, the magic just didn't land the same. It still has all the charm and leans more heavily into the humor, but that alone wasn't enough to carry the game. This is a good example of how bigger and flashier doesn't always mean better. Sometimes less is more, and in this case, I just didn't connect with any of the new characters. If the town was a little bit more populated and not spread out so much, I think I would have enjoyed it more. Once again, taking on a new lead, Frog Detective is tasked with heading out to the Lawless West to talk to characters and gather their sides of the story about who stole the town's hats, and to complete chores and move the plot forward. It follows the same structure as the previous two entries, steadily leading you towards a conclusion. However, there were some twists, like with the fake ending credits featuring the cast from Degrassi Season 6, Episode 11. It felt like cheap shock humor, rather than clever surprises or meaningful story reveals. Instead of enhancing the experience, these moments came off as lazy and out of place, adding more to the meme value than the narrative payoff. It's clear the developers were having a lot of fun embracing their goofiness and odd references, and playful moments that show that they were not afraid to get weird. But that also means that the game sometimes lacks cohesion. Sudden shifts and jump cuts make parts feel disjointed, as if there was a focus more on what made the developer laugh at the moment more than trying to craft a consistent story that made sense in the end. Out of all three entries in this series, I can say with full certainty that this game felt like it was designed for babies, while the other two came across as more well-developed and thoughtfully crafted. After playing through each game twice, I've come away with some concerns, but also a lot of positives. First off, this series definitely is not for everybody. If you're looking for a strong detective game, you would be better off with a title like Lacuna, Let Bygones Be Bygones, Between Horizons, or even Brock the Investigator. That's not to say that Frog Detective is strictly a kids game though. There is an underlying charm if you're willing to look for it. Maybe I'm biased, maybe I just lean towards the childish side of things more than others, but I liked what the series had to offer in the form of silly, nonchalant fun that is often missing with most games that I play. That being said, I would strongly recommend picking it up as a part of a bundle or on sale. Something closer to $3 in total feels right for all three. It's a bit of a shame that the games were released episodically rather than bundled, but in the end, it made me feel warm, and really, that's enough for me. I got genuine joy out of it, and that's all I could really ask for.